Hello builders, and welcome back to the World Zoo project, a giant zoo where I'm trying to fit a habitat in for every species in the game. And today's video I have for you the Siberian tigers, the biggest cats. These tigers are going to be the second animal in our Asian area, and if you want to see a tour of the entire Asian area, link to that down below. And if you're curious to know about other sections of the zoo, why don't you just browse the channel and go and look at some of those other little tour videos. And while you're checking stuff out, why don't you click the link down below and come give me a follow over on Twitch, where I am building this zoo live. But without further ado, let's get on to the building. And as is with all Planet Zoo builds, we start off with a blank slate, and with only a rough concept in mind to guide us. In this case, my concept was to create a large, hollowed out mountain where guests can go in and not only see the big old tigers, but also the Amur leopards and the Clouder leopards. Basically all the big cats of Asia under one big roof. Or in this case, one big mountain. But we'll get back to doing this mountain later on, as we're just going to create the concept for it and leave it behind for now. In the meantime, I'm going to move on to working for a center viewing area in the middle of the habitat where guests can go in for a little bit of an education point, and as well as a better view of the tigers. And because I love having guests feel like they're the ones in the middle of a habitat, I want to have this glass dome so the guests get the best view. Plus we get the added benefit of building climbing frames above that glass dome later on and having the tigers right above the guests. And for consistency's sake, I'm going to be building just one single wall and then copy pasting it around and then making adjustments from there. Copy paste will always save you time in these big builds, especially when you're trying to get a zoo large enough to fit every animal in it. Although what do I know, it's taken me over a year and I'm only 153 species as of recording, so I still have a ways to go. If I was any better at time management, I probably would have finished this project already. Now, for anyone who's watched the stream or has seen any of my big old cat videos, you know I have a bit of a signature move when it comes to doing these things. I always love to have a glass ceiling above them. That way, the guests can look up at the tigers, and the tigers can lick their lips looking down at the guests, just waiting for that glass to break. But don't worry, it's not going to break. At least I don't think it will. Legally, I have to say it won't break and the guests are safe, but I wouldn't try to test that theory by antagonizing those tigers. They can be pretty powerful when they're hungry. Don't make them hungry. And now I'm just going to copy paste this wall around as I did down on the base, and then punch a few holes in it. That way we can have some areas for the tigers to get in and out of this roof section. With the building mostly complete, now let's come inside and start adding in some random climbing frames, some beams here and there, and some connection points, just so the tigers have a place to crawl around. And maybe we'll add some toys in there later, just to really attract the tigers up the stairs. And here's a tip for you when you're building your own climbing frames. I recommend getting the larger platforms in first, figure out roughly where you want them, and then add in all your connection and supports for them afterwards. Once you get your main things in, connecting them all up will be more easy. With that interior complete, let's get a roof on this thing and call it done. While I was building this, I wasn't quite happy with my placement of the building, so I just decided to move it to a different spot to give the guests a different vantage point of the habitat. Plus, it would give me more wide open space for the tigers to roam around in. The old position of this building was cutting the habitat too much in half, and the tigers just weren't going to have enough open space, in my opinion. And now it's time for one more wall section to be built, and as always we will build one part of it and copy paste it over to fill in the gap. This, of course, will be for the exterior fence for the entire habitat, so guests can look at the tigers in safety. Usually when I do these types of fences, there are little gaps to be filled in, and I love to fill them in with rocks. After all, this is a zoo, and a zoo should be filled with rocks and plants and just anything that makes it look a little bit more natural. Now, normally when I do habitats, I usually like to have a pattern where I will usually create the buildings, do the rock work, do all the fine-tuning details like the plants, and then I'll usually add in all the climbing frames. This habitat though was a little bit of a chaotic mess from my normal routine. So throughout this video you're going to see me jumping around a lot between rocks, plants, and climbing frames, but in the end we get there. If you haven't noticed at this point, I am a big fan of copy pasting sections of this zoo so I can just get things done a little bit faster. And rock walls are my bread and butter when it comes to copy pasting. I love making one big wall section and copy pasting over and over again. Afterwards, I might go through in a few little areas and add a couple rocks here and there just to fill in any weird gaps that form. But overall, it's the best way to make the edges of your habitat. Now, you might be noticing this big old tiger head. That wasn't me. This was recommended by someone in chat to grab this from the workshop, as they requested to have a big tiger waterfall, and I did attempt to have one made, but sculpting statues in this game out of rocks was never my strong suit, and I am just going to cut that video footage out, as you don't need to see my embarrassing attempts at making that work. That footage is just poof, gone forever. No one can ever see it again. So thank you to the Steam Workshop for providing a tiger head in this case. And back to that cave system I had done at the beginning of the video. This is going to of course be the tiger sleeping area, so we are going to have a big open gate, more so for the keepers to get out, but also a little window to the side for the tigers to crawl around in. And because I love rocks so much and making my habitats look a little bit more natural, we of course are really going to lean into that cave theme and just put rocks everywhere and even a couple of stalactites. Plus we're going to fill this with some fun climbing frames for the tigers to enjoy. Another great building tip I have for you is to make sure you do your interiors like I'm doing right now before you put a roof on it. Once you put that roof on, doing the interiors can be such a big pain in the boot because, well, you need to work with that camera, and if there's a roof on it, your camera is going to be glitching into that roof and you're going to be unable to see what you're building the vast majority of the time. Now, I love these underwater domes, and I really need to get into a habit of using these more often in my builds, but I just like the idea of guests being able to see the animals swimming, or even getting into an up-close, above-ground encounter with the animals as well. It really is something I need to do more, as it adds a little something special to your habitat. And now we are going to create a little bit more rock work around the edges of the habitat, as well as decorating rocks around the pond that will be feeding a large river system that will be going through the vast majority of this section of the zoo. The river will eventually feed into the bearded leopard habitat, the otter habitat, flow through the giant food core we end up making later on, and then continuing on through several more habitats such as the tapirs, and finishing off with the pandas. And how I like to do my terrain painting is usually start with a base coat of all grass everywhere, and then for the river water, I put some sand in there. Afterwards, I like to do a little bit of detailing then with the rock and the dirt paintbrush. Specifically, I love to add in dirt paths where I think the animals and the keepers are going to be walking the most, just to make it look like the grass has been worn down. And well, we're in a bit of a lull in the middle of the video, but I don't know what else to say. I just want to take this chance to say thank you to everybody on Twitch who's supported me in this big old project, and those of you on YouTube who have subscribed, left comments, and liked the videos. I appreciate you guys. I know I haven't been building as much as I have in the past, or uploading these videos with the same frequency I used to do, but life changes and I now have a full-time job. So doing these streams and these videos is more of a part-time thing, but I still enjoy doing it, even though I still can't do it as much. But in short, what I'm trying to say is I appreciate you builders for sticking with me and just enjoying some random streams or YouTube building videos. And look at that, most of the rock work is complete, so now I can really get into working on a lot of the decorations, mostly with the climb frames and then all the plants to come afterwards. So let's just sit back, relax, enjoy some of this beautiful Plant Zoo music, and just get on with the decorating. That is one of my favorite parts of any build, even though I really love doing the rock work. Deep down, I know it's just the plant work that brings a habitat quite literally to life, and it's what makes everything worth looking at. Well, I suppose it's also the animals. Having the animals in there is important. Although, even with the animals gone, it's a pretty good looking habitat, not gonna lie. I'm happy with this one. Yep, I hope you are too. Well, builders, I really hope you enjoyed this tiger video as much as I enjoyed building it for you. We're nearing the end of the video, so there's not much left to do other than our usual cinematic route tour through the habitat. Again, if you want to see the full cinematic route tour, click the link down below where you can see the entire Asian area. And click that link down below for Twitch as well. Okay, I'm done. We're done. No more self-promotion, I promise. Let's end it here with that route tour. All builders, have a great day. Goodbye.